YouTube, B Smokehouse back here with you, and today, being Big Game Sunday, we got a nice one here for you. I got started on this video last night, however I did not record that portion. We've got some pork chops. You see that? We've got some pork chops. Now last night I went ahead and got these in a 5% solution brine, meaning I got some water in this pan, I weighed the water out, and 5% of that was brine solution. When you do it that way, tends to lean on the salt being just right. There's really a nice one right there. See that? The salt content going to be just right. And because we are measuring the amount of brine to the amount of water, it's really hard to damn near impossible to over salt your pieces of meat. Now what you'll see is I'm going to get these off and dried back in the fridge. They'll tack up some, and then I'll hit them with a nice rub. You don't want to go adding any salt. Trust me, overnight is more than a long enough time for these to soak up that salt. It's easier, and it's volumetrically easier. It's more when you weigh out your salts, when you weigh out anything for baking or just for cooking in general, it's going to be better than just throwing loads and loads of seasonings at your meat. I would be way more saltier if I just salted these down. Again, we don't have much mass that we're working with, and that's okay. So one thing I like to do is get them in a brine solution overnight. I went 5%. You can go more, you can go less. I would say play around with what works for you. I'm going to give these a flip around, then dry them off. You can tell that meat has soaked up the salt. The color's different. The meat has a different texture to it. So we're going to get these dried off. I'm not looking for a crust, however the seasonings I'm going to put on these are going to penetrate that meat. Now, some people with thin chops like these would go ahead and just take the chops, season them down, and throw them right on the fire. There's nothing wrong with that. However, you know, these chops would be overcooked and more than likely over or under salted. So it's just one thing I do, but this is going to be called the game day chop, right? Nothing hard to do. You can even still go ahead and fry these if you want. You can bake these, but just know that your salt content is already where it needs to be. Of course, I don't roll that way. I'm going to put these over some hot charcoal, right? Because of their size, they won't go as long as a thicker chop would have to go, right? So other than that, I'll bring you guys back when I'm preparing my seasonings for these chops. Alright, here are my chops. We're going pretty simple as far as the rub. That's granulated garlic. Can you see that? Granulated garlic. Seasoned salt. .16 mesh black pepper. Going pretty basic with these, alright, because I am more than likely going to hit these with a glaze or a sauce. Alright, that's enough for that. And we're going to go down with a light layer of seasoned salt. Really light. Remember, these already have enough salt in them. However, the seasoned salt is going to bring a bit more flavor to the party. Alright, make sure you get that fat. Alright, that's good for that side. Now we're going to go down with some granulated garlic. I'm not using the powdery garlic because that stuff tends to cake up and will burn. We're going to give them a flip. We're going to allow, again, through osmosis, for these pork chops to pull in some of this seasoning and be flavorful to the bone, to the center of this pork chop. Stay tuned. YouTube, we got our pork chops on. These are our game day chops. We got chicken on, but this video is about the pork chops. We're going to let these ride for the next 15-20 minutes, and we're going to give them a good flip. we're going directly over the charcoal. We're running Kingsford Blue Bag on the Weber Smokey Mountain. Stay tuned. YouTube, we back here with you. You see I've got my pork chops directly over the hot coals, which are over here. I've moved my chicken. You can see that chicken's got some great color. I'm going to let these go another few minutes. I'm going to baste them in the sauce that I'm using. I've got this today. It's some good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm going to baste them, let it get tacked on, maybe baste them once or twice, get them off of here so they don't burn. Stay tuned. Alright, here's the finished product. Let's recap what we did to these pork chops. I took them, I put them in a brine, so that brine was 5% of the total volume of the liquid that I used. In this case, it was water. They set overnight, so which is to say they set for 8 to 12 hours. I took them out, dried them off, put them back in the fridge, and then I took them out and seasoned them, put them back in the fridge. I started a fire on my Weber Smokey Mountain. I then put them away from the direct coals, so indirect, because I had some chicken that went over the direct coals. After about 30 minutes, I gave them a flip. And you can do this because of the brine, right? The brine ensures everything stays juicy, nice and moist. Throughout this cook, and previous cooks, if I would have just slapped these over those coals, these would have most assuredly dried out. So throughout the entirety of this cook, I was able to see juices being pushed out of the meat. But these are done and they are still in fact juicy, right? I then hit them with some of this bourbon peach barbecue sauce from Kinder's. All right, so let's give it a try. You can see that color, nice color. Looks pretty good. See what it's done? It's still got some juice to it. Nice and juicy. Can you see that? You can definitely taste that brine. You can taste the different seasonings that I use. That Blues Hog. I'm sorry, on these I didn't use Blues Hog. On the chicken I used Blues Hog. But that salt, that pepper, that granulated garlic, you can definitely taste it even through this sauce that I use. It's definitely a great pork chop. A great way to do pork chops. We use that brine as an assurance to not dry these out. It's got some texture to it from that black pepper. Some great taste. Pretty good. Thank you for tuning in on these game day chops. I'll be posting here a little bit more frequently in an effort to get some of these newer videos out to you guys. I have some in the stash that I've got to edit. Still growing in my editing skills. If there's anything I can do better, please feel free to leave those items down in the description box, the comment boxes. Until the next video, be Smokehouse out.